You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and... she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat basement, average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Good evening. Welcome to our couch and the red wine with our Cabana boy for the evening, Big G, TCC Grouchy. How you doing?
I'm all good. Good to be here.
All right. We're proud to have you. And you're only our second Cabana boy. How awesome is that?
Wow, I'm almost hurt.
What, that you weren't number one?
Exactly.
Yeah, you would have been, but Brad begged.
Oh.
So, yeah. Not really. Just kidding. Just kidding, Brad. Just kidding, because you better be listening or you better listen later.
He's probably prepping for his 2 hours of mediocrity coming up after this.
I know, right? And he's going to have a visitor for the second hour? Or is he going to be on?
Yeah, Orty said he was going to join him for the second hour. I'm sure he'll have somebody with him the first hour too.
Yeah, I just thought of a way that I'm going to punk them, but I'm not going to say it because they'll be ready for it. So I got a plan for those guys in the second hour.
Right.
But at any rate, so we're really glad to have everybody. See the chat room filling up already. Good evening, you guys. Thanks so much for being here, Alan and Crow, and Eric and Orty and Tina and hey, there's G and Jeff and who's Helvidius? I don't know you, but I've seen you around. So
he actually joined us, I think, last week for the first time with my show, and it was no Tina Britton. We don't know you, but we're glad you're here. We enjoy your company.
Yeah, everybody, whether we've seen you before, but no, I've seen him before too, and thank you so much for joining us. We're very happy to have you in the chat room and listening to our humble show on politics. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be bringing to you this evening a discussion about the Schiff show. And one thing I am very excited about is that name that it's been given, and it really caught on. Right? It's a great name. It's the perfect name. But this is the most ridiculous. And I mean, come on, G. We've seen some incredibly ridiculous political happenings.
Oh, yeah.
But have you ever seen anything this ridiculous?
Certainly not at this point. No, I mean, this was supposed to be their star witness today. The ambassador to the Ukraine.
I suppose that Taylor, possibly.
You know, I mean, the guy that heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. Trump was messing.
Hello?
Jody, we're live on the air. G, are you still there? I might have knocked G off. And he was mid-sentence, too, and I was like, I've done this before. G, are you there?
What were you guys talking about?
We're talking about impeachment already. Okay. I mean, I love live radio. Hold on just a second, Jody.
Sure. So glad you're here helping me out. So tonight, I don't know if they told you or not. Well, I mean, as in the audience or not. But I have to get my kiddo to a cheer thing in the middle of the show. So unfortunately, it makes it kind of
and we're
difficult.
live. We're live again.
Yeah,
I know. Really, it's like, yeah. Lou, the producer. Shows with Lou are always fun. So, anyway, we were just talking about how it was the most ridiculous thing, and gee, I might have cut you off.
Oh, well, that's okay. I understand.
Yeah, you were saying Taylor being the star witness, and
yeah, if he's the best they have, they should just tuck their tails and go home because his little REO Speedwagon bit of hearing it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another is garbage.
Right, exactly. It is grapevine court, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Hearsay. All hearsay.
Yeah.
Representative Quigley saying that's even better than direct evidence.
Yeah, do we have that clip or no for tonight?
No, we don't. We don't have any clips tonight. We have nothing but us.
But us. Since G's memory is so much better than mine, do you remember his exact wording about hearsay being sometimes better than?
I can get it for you really quickly here.
It's preposterous, is what it is.
Okay, the quote is, hearsay can be much better evidence than direct, and it's certainly valid in this instance. That was his quote.
Can you imagine if that would have worked in the Clinton hearings?
I think, you know,
that would have been awesome.
Exactly. And I remember that during the Clinton impeachment, which I didn't agree with either, right? I mean, even though what he did was, in my mind, far worse, like for a lawyer to perjure themselves, a lawyer and a president to perjure themselves over a sex scandal, multiple sex scandals.
Right.
Right. So, you know, it's not like it was really, it was something he was going to go to jail for. Right.
Oh, no.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, the frivolousness of, and not that what he did to them was frivolous. That's not, but the way that the courts see that infraction to begin with, right? It's not like you're going to jail for murder if you tell the truth. And he perjured himself. And I still thought this is not something we should be having impeachment hearings for a president over. Right? That was my opinion. That was my opinion of that at the time. I think he deserved some special treatment for it, but I'm not sure that, you know, it would have been handled in the law enforcement or the courts like what he really deserved.
Misdemeanors. High crimes and misdemeanors should have kind of a high threshold.
Well, and they put it in that language of the day for a reason. It doesn't translate well to the language of today, especially the way that the courts have evolved. But, I mean, you know, go back to the language that they used then and figure out what that is. It's things like treason. It's things like actual real bribery, not, you know, just because the president happened to use the word favor, just because Joe Biden happens to be running with 20 other people for a nomination that he's probably never going to get, that doesn't make that digging up dirt on a political opponent. And even if it is digging up dirt on a political opponent, then Hillary Clinton and half the DNC also need to go to jail. If that is a high crime, if that is treason, if that is a misdemeanor that puts our national security at risk, they all need to go to jail. You know, what is Andrea Chalupa doing out of jail if this is worth impeaching a president over?
I totally agree with you. I think it's insane that they are. In fact, Kent today even admitted he's never even met Trump, much less heard the call firsthand. I have to think that's ridiculous that he's one of the star witnesses.
That's what Jim Jordan said, and you're their star witness?
Yeah, that was perfect. That was perfect because it's so true.
But and here's the thing. This is the one thing that irritated me the most about the entire thing. I won't get it out of the way because so much of it was so funny that I'd like to get onto that kind of stuff. But the thing that irritated me the most is that when they were asked to share an opinion or anything even close to an opinion, they refused to do it. If a Republican asked them to share an opinion, and a lot of times even if a Democrat asked them to share an opinion, they flatly refused to do it and said, and I quote, "I am here as a fact witness," except for one time. When a Democrat congresswoman asked them, "Do you believe that the president was interested in digging up dirt on an opponent or seeing that the Ukraine investigated corruption?" Without missing a beat, both of them said, "I believe he was interested in digging up dirt on an opponent." Without missing a beat. Fact witness was not mentioned when she asked that question, and my head blew off.
Right.
So I'm a fact witness. I'm a fact witness unless you ask me what I think the president's intentions were. Intent is the hardest thing to determine. Sure. It is the most difficult thing to prove. Yet they both had an opinion right off the bat. It seemed rehearsed and staged.
It's a difference in how policy on foreign policy and how they would have handled it versus how they think Trump should have handled it. But they're not the president.
Well, that's the thing. And Kent said that what he does is carry out the wishes of the presidents that he serves. Well, I evidently no, you don't, right? Yeah. The really interesting thing was that when he was asked about his concerns about Burisma and how corrupt Burisma was and the problems with Burisma, he was absolutely clear that they were terribly corrupt, that he was very concerned about them, that he demanded that they be investigated, that something happened, that they be prosecuted. And then when he was asked, and this was laughable, when he was asked about Hunter Biden being put on the board of Burisma, he was like, well, I don't really know anything about that. I really can't speak to that. Now, he, at the time, and he was asked very specifically, isn't it true that when you pushed for Burisma to be held accountable for the things that they did, and at the very moment that the UK, first of all, froze their assets and started to try to hold them accountable, was when they added Hunter Biden to the board. That timeline is clear, and he hedged on that answer too.
Right. I'll be right back. I'm in my interim thing. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So, and then I'll drop my kid off, be right back. I'll park in the parking lot.
Okay. Okay,
Live
cool.
radio, people.
Live radio. It's awesome. But that shows their bias beyond, this company was horrible, 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 horrible. And even though at the moment they were about to be held accountable, they added Hunter Biden to the board, I really don't have anything to say about that. I really don't have an opinion on that.
Exactly. No opinions there. I'm only a fact witness.
Right. Exactly. Well, and it hasn't been established that they did anything wrong. I'm sorry, but the fact that he accepted the position to begin with was wrong. Am I right?
Yep.
That's all you got?
No, really, it's not like we haven't been talking about this, but look, it's no secret. Everybody knows that Hunter Biden was uniquely unqualified to be on any kind of energy corporation's board, and to also be earning a minimum of $50,000 in monthly salaries. Some of the reports I've seen say that salary could have been as high as $100,000 monthly.
Yeah.
Monthly.
Yeah.
So
monthly.
That's $1.2 million a year. Let's not talk about how much he may have actually had in the profit sharing part of that corporation. We haven't even touched on that yet. I'm not even sure that anybody even has an inkling about that yet. He's probably got that money hidden somewhere, and it never made it to the United States. So, who knows? Who knows? Because surely they knew that eventually there would come a time somebody would have to answer for why this idiot who couldn't even maintain his naval commission because he couldn't keep the rails out of his nose for doing cocaine, is sitting on the board of this energy company that he's uniquely unqualified to be part of to begin with, to draw such a salary.
He was also caught with. He also got a DUI and was caught with the crack pipe at one point too. I read a report that said that he was. I'm not trying to litigate that or anything, but the kid has serious drug problems, and God bless his father for being a good father and wanting to take care of him, but not with my money, Joe. I'm sorry, your kid, your problem, you take care of him, not with my money, not with taxpayer money. No, that's not okay.
Exactly. No, that's not okay. And as I alluded to in the last hour, Biden, he likes to take credit for a lot of the things that he was in the background of, that he was quote unquote part of. But if Biden, he likes to step up and say that he did that. He did this, he did that. Let's talk about what else Joe Biden's done. Let's trash him with his kid. Let's do it right?
Yeah, absolutely. The kid shouldn't be the one taking all the heat, because that. So when Burisma was looking for a board member connected to the U.S. government, right, with somebody, how do you, and the point person in Ukraine is Joe Biden. How do you think they got the idea that Hunter would be the one they put on the board? They didn't. I'm sure Hunter Biden was not their first choice.
Probably not.
So where'd they get the idea from?
Well, they probably got the idea from the man that actually did perform a quid pro quo with the Ukrainian government over aid money, and that would be Vice President Joe Biden.
Yes, exactly.
That's the man who actually bragged that he threatened to withhold the money from them if they didn't do this for him.
And Joe, okay, and here's the other thing about that. Joe exaggerates. Everybody know Joe exaggerates. Typically, when Joe is exaggerating something, people will say, well, Joe exaggerated that a little bit. Not one person has said Joe is exaggerating. Not one person. Yeah. So he did that.
Or how about somebody just calling him a liar?
Right. Right. So Joe did that. He really did that. He said, and then at one point there was, at one point there was a question whether he was really in Ukraine at the time that happened, and some people tried to claim that, no, he wasn't in it. Well, yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. He made many, many trips. He was going to Ukraine like every 2 weeks.
It was crazy. And let's back up. Let's go even further, okay? Because he wants to own these things that Barack Obama is going to be saddled with in history. Let's give him part of Libya too. Right?
There was an email. There was an email that surfaced today, and it might be one that Diane, to her credit, has been digging through the WikiLeaks emails. There's one from Uma Abedin that it is a long litany of communications about the protests and violence and deaths in Libya.
Yeah.
And Uma starts the email with, it's to Hillary Clinton, I give you full credit for these peaceful protests in Libya. And then there's classified communications about all the people that have been killed.
Yeah.
That's a peaceful protest.
Well, look, Hillary and Obama stood side by side, and the quote was, "We came, we saw, he died." They were talking about Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
Gaddafi and his regime were brought down by an insurrection that Obama backed with U.S. military action, even though he did not have congressional authority or the constitutional authority to arbitrarily do.
Which, by the way, is exactly what they did in Ukraine with the Maidan Revolution all the deaths that took place there, the violent overthrows, the and I'm about to segue back to the hearing, the invasion of Crimea by Russia, and what did Obama do? Devin Nunes said it best today. Obama sent them blankets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing that the Democrats want to gloss over, that the Republicans, to their credit, keep driving home, is that the first time that Ukraine has been begging us for defensive weapons, for specifically anti-tank missiles called Javelins, at least since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2013, 2014. At least since then, during the Obama administration, the Obama administration refused them every defensive weapon that they asked for. You want to know when they got those weapons? In 2017, from President Trump, he sent them their first shipments of Javelin missiles, anti-tank missiles, to defend themselves against Russian invasion.
Right. It just...
And in the conversation, the perfect phone call, which I don't agree that it was perfect, he could have avoided the word favor, and he'd be a lot better off. But he could have avoided using Biden's name. He would be a lot better off. But Trump is Trump. He says stuff. We all get over it and move on. But, well, most of us get over it and move on. But those weapons, you see Zelensky ask for Javelins, and didn't they get another shipment after that? Haven't they gotten their second shipment of Javelins? I believe they have.
Probably.
Yeah, I do. I believe that they've been sent that. So they've been given $500 million in aid. Yeah. And another shipment of Javelins, which is specifically what they asked for, defensive weapons.
Right.
We've given them, my understanding is this, I haven't read this anywhere public except maybe buried, maybe I read it in a buried in a cyber security article. My understanding is that we've given them a lot of cyber infrastructure support as well.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, well, I mean, they need it, right? Because there is, we talk about this on my show a lot, that Russia is one of the four top cyber warfare powers in the world. Us, Iran, China, and Russia are really kind of the top four. So I mean, we've given them that support as well, I believe. But that didn't start until Trump took office either. So Trump has done more to support and back up Ukraine than anyone. But Nunes said Obama sent them blankets. That was one of the best lines of the whole.
It really was.
Yeah, yeah.
Really...
And that's what I want to call it. So it's time for us to take a break. That's really what I want to talk about when we come back, is the best lines, the zingers, because there were some good ones. Jordan had some good ones. Yeah, well, I'll try to pull up a clip or two for us to listen to while we're in the break. So just hang in there with us, guys. We'll be right back.
Yeah, Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, and Epstein didn't kill himself.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you are not alone.
All right, we're back. So for context, and just so, because this is what we're going to talk about, and in his opening statement, Nunes got a couple of zingers in. There were a few others, but some of the better ones are in this. So we're just going to play this for you real quick, and just give it a listen. It's about 4.5 minutes. Well, actually, this has got 9 minutes on it, so we might not listen to the whole thing.
Cut it where you need to.
In a July open hearing of this committee following publication of the Mueller report, the Democrats engaged in a last-ditch effort to convince the American people that President Trump is a Russian agent. That hearing was the pivotal finale of a 3-year-long operation by the Democrats, the corrupt media, and partisan bureaucrats to overturn the results of the 2016 election. After the spectacular Russia hoax on July 24th, in which they spent years denouncing any Republican who ever shook hands with a Russian, on July 25th, they turned on a dime and now claim the real malfeasance is Republicans' dealings with Ukraine. In the blink of an eye, we're asked to simply forget about Democrats on this committee, falsely claiming they have more than circumstantial evidence of collusion
No, you can't
between
hear it?
President Trump and Russians. We should forget about them reading fabrications of Trump-Russia collusion from the Steele dossier into the congressional record. We should also forget about them trying to obtain nude pictures of Trump from Russian pranksters who pretended to be Ukrainian officials. We should forget about them leaking a false story to CNN while he was still testifying to our committee, claiming that Donald Trump Jr. was colluding with WikiLeaks. And forget about countless other deceptions, large and small, that make them the last people on earth with the credibility to hurl more preposterous accusations at their political opponents. And yet now, here we are. We're supposed to take these people at face value when they trot out a new batch of allegations. But anyone familiar with the Democrats' scorched earth war against President Trump would not be surprised to see all the typical signs that this is a carefully orchestrated media smear campaign. For example, after vowing publicly that impeachment requires bipartisan support, Democrats are pushing impeachment forward without the backing of a single Republican. The witnesses deemed suitable for television by the Democrats were put through a closed-door audition process in a cult-like atmosphere in the basement of the Capitol, where Democrats conducted secret depositions, released a flood of misleading and one-sided leaks, and later selectively released transcripts in a highly staged manner. Violating their own guidelines, Democrats repeatedly redacted from the transcripts the name of Alexander Chalupa, a contractor for the Democratic National Committee who worked with Ukrainian officials to collect dirt on the Trump campaign, which she provided to the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign. The Democrats rejected most of the Republicans' witness requests, resulting in a horrifically one-sided process where the crucial witnesses are denied a platform if their testimony does not support the Democrats' absurd accusations. Notably, they are trying to impeach the president for inquiring about Hunter Biden's activities. Yet they refuse our request to hear from Biden himself. The whistleblower was acknowledged to have a bias against President Trump, and his attorney touted a coup against the president and called for his impeachment just weeks after the election. At a prior hearing, Democrats on this committee read out a purely fictitious rendition of the president's phone call with President Zelensky. They clearly found the real conversation to be insufficient for their impeachment narrative, so they just made up a new one. And most egregiously, the staff of the Democrats on this committee had direct discussions with the whistleblower before his or her complaint was submitted to the Inspector General. Republicans can't get a full account of these contacts because Democrats broke their promise to have the whistleblower testify to this committee. Democrat members hid these contacts from Republicans and then lied about them to the American people on national television. I've noted before, the Democrats have a long habit of accusing Republicans of offenses they themselves are committing. Let's recall, for years they accused the Trump campaign of colluding with Russia when they themselves were colluding with Russia by funding and spreading the Steele dossier, which relied on Russian sources. And now they accuse President Trump of malfeasance in Ukraine when they themselves are culpable The Democrats cooperated in Ukrainian election meddling, and they defend Hunter Biden's securing of a lavishly paid position with a corrupt Ukrainian company, all while his father served as vice president. Despite this hypocrisy, the Democrats are advancing their impeachment sham. But we should not hold any hearings at all until we get answers to three crucial questions the Democrats are determined to avoid asking. First, what is the full extent of the Democrats' prior coordination with the whistleblower? And who else did the whistleblower coordinate this effort with? Second, what is the full extent of Ukraine's election meddling against the Trump campaign? And third, why did Burisma hire Hunter Biden? And what did he do for them? And did his position affect any U.S. government actions under the Obama administration? These questions will remain outstanding because Republicans were denied the right to call witnesses that know these answers. What we will witness today is a televised theatrical performance staged by the Democrats. Ambassador Taylor and Mr. Kent, I'd like to welcome you here. I'd like to congratulate you for passing the Democrat Star Chamber auditions held for the last weeks in the basement of the Capitol. It seems you agreed, witting or unwittingly, to participate in a drama. But the main performance, the Russia hoax, has ended, and you've been cast in the low-rent Ukrainian sequel. I'll conclude by noting the immense damage the politicized bureaucracy has done to Americans' faith in government. Though executive branch employees are charged with implementing the policies set by our president, who is elected and responsible to the American people, elements of the civil service have decided that they, not the president, are really in charge.
You're listening to a clip.
Okay.
Thus, as we'll learn in these hearings, after expressing skepticism of foreign aid and concern about foreign corruption and betrayal, President Trump outraged the bureaucracy by acting skeptically about foreign aid and expressing concerns about foreign corruption.
Yes.
Officials alarmed that the president's actions was typically
I don't know what it is. I took off my
second-hand,
We're not muted.
third-hand, and even fourth-hand rumors and innuendo. They believed it was an outrage for the president to fire an ambassador, even though the president has full authority to retain or remove diplomats for any reason at any time. Officials showed the surprising lack of interest in the indications of Ukrainian election meddling that deeply concerned the president, at whose pleasure they serve. Despite all their dissatisfaction with President Trump's Ukraine policy, the president approved the supply of weapons to Ukraine, unlike the previous administration, which provided blankets.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there because that was my favorite statement of the whole hearing. The Obama administration provided blankets. There was one other, Jody, if you remember, that was Stacy's favorite. What was that? Do you remember what it was?
No, I do not.
I'll look. She told us it was funny. But yeah, so the other thing that was really great to me, because we're going to talk about the really great things now. We've already talked about the really frustrating things. Let's talk about the really great things. The other thing that was really great to me was Radcliffe challenging Schiff to what they call a colloquy or colloquy, that where they have an exchange to clarify something for the public, and Radcliffe was basically challenging him to provide information for the American people as to when he first knew about the whistleblower, the level, or not a whistleblower, the level of coordination that was between the not a whistleblower and his office, what he knew about it, how they participated in it, and Schiff pretty much just refused to participate.
Yeah, and didn't he even go so far as to say he wasn't wasn't sure of the name?
He said he didn't know the name, period.
He did.
Yeah. I mean, that's insane. It is beyond absurd.
He knows exactly who it was at this point. Maybe after the first phone call, he didn't, but he knows now.
Wasn't it released in the papers that came out from the transcripts from the behind closed door stuff?
Yeah, there's not been a confirmation from the government that it's correct, but the really interesting thing is that there was a lot of Twitter chatter, and that his lawyer, the Not a Whistleblower's lawyer, loves to tweet, right? Yeah. He loves to tweet as much or more than Trump does, probably more. But there was, I guess, an associate or a friend of his that tweeted that Mark Zaid, the lawyer, and the whistleblower, Eric Charamella, or whatever, however you pronounce this.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Charamella, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I like to call him Mr. Caramel. That's his code name. That Mark Zaid and Mr. Caramel were both good people, and if they were planning a coup, he was in. And Mark Zaid retweeted that tweet.
Right.
So technically his lawyer exposed him. And that was one of the first times his name was actually one of the early mentions of his name. And there's been some speculation by Technofog and Undercover Huber and, some people like that on Twitter that it might have been him. And I think some people call that pretty early on. But, so technically his lawyer put him out there.
Right. And I don't know if he talked about this on his show earlier or not, but we do know for sure that all of the players in this seem to all lean left or are never Trumpers. So.
Oh, but not according to them. They deny that.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other interesting thing, and it was really funny because Eric Swalwell, which Tom Shalhoub actually gave him the nickname Swellwall, right? So Tom Swellwall, not Tom, whatever his name is, Swellwall thought he got the zinger of the day when he asked the two witnesses if they were never Trumpers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there was ever, he's such a pusillanimous crap leaver.
He's.
I just don't think he's very smart. Did you see some of the tweets that he tweets out? It's like that guy is not carrying a full deck.
He suggested nuking people with guns.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. How smart can he be? Right? That's okay. What's the percentage of people who own and prefer to continue to own guns in this country? And I mean, even Democrats have guns.
Not only that, Lou, what happens if you nuke a neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just going to be the people with guns that die?
Right. Okay, so maybe it was a euphemism. It was still a really stupid euphemism.
I was going to say it was a euphemism for his stupidity is what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was really dumb. So the guy's not too bright. Okay, you went to law school, you passed the bar, but that doesn't mean that
what's with his face? I mean, he looks like he's chronic stage 4 constipated or something.
He's Ken. He's Ken from Barbie and Ken. He is a comic-y Ken.
Well, my favorite thing about him was the mom jokes, Right. So they're almost, they were, when he was still a candidate, the mom jokes were awesome. They were, did your mom tell you that? They're almost as funny as the Dear Diary jokes with the Costa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were really great. But yeah, I mean that's your zinger, really? Okay. That's great, Swalwell. And then Jordan, of course, got in his digs. Does anybody have a favorite Jordan?
Well, I like how he said, "And you're their star witness."
Exactly.
That's everybody's favorite. Well, I mean, because the point was, he was saying that, all of it was third and fourth hand information.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know before today, so I did learn something watching all this, that Kent had actually had 3 meetings with Zelensky and never ever brought up concerns or even discussed the quid pro quo, or even broached that topic.
Right.
If he's that concerned about it, why wouldn't he feel that out a little bit?
Yep.
So I was fascinated by that today, that he completely, it really made Kent look disingenuous.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Jordan's going to be great at this.
Yeah, I almost think he should have been, instead of Trey Gowdy going after Hillary, which I ended up being so disappointed in that, I think it should have been Jordan. Had those, that time.
And then, Helvidius made a great point in the chat room. If Schiff isn't lying and nobody knows the identity of the whistleblower, what happens if the Republicans subpoena Eric Charmella? How can they deny it if they don't know he's the whistleblower?
Ooh, good point in chat. Yeah. Very good point. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they should do that then. Say, wait a minute, I thought you said he wasn't the whistleblower.
Well, no, they said they don't know who the whistleblower is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So how could they have an objection then?
Right. Yeah, it doesn't look good. And I'm curious what you guys, if you have any independent friends, because, the left is already going to assume that Trump is scum, right? Like, they're already gone. Like, they're going to believe what they're going to believe. But what do you think the independents thought after today?
I don't know, but I've got one friend on the left at work, and he's not in favor of impeachment.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good. He thinks that today was a disaster for the Democrats.
I think it was too. Cheryl Atkinson even tweeted that it did not look like a good day today, especially if these are their top 2, star witnesses.
Yep.
Yeah, so and Cheryl Atkinson, I think, she's no Trump, she's no Trumper. Right. So I think she's a pretty good gauge of what the independents are thinking, but I don't know, I haven't had a chance yet to kind of feel it out. I just feel like it was really hard. If you watched the Jim Jordan exchange, and if you watched, even the Radcliffe, even I watched a few of the exchanges, it was hard not to come off thinking, okay, wait a minute, I thought there was going to be a smoking gun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, where is it?
Yeah, no,
and it just...
They haven't even smoked a ham yet.
I totally didn't go...
Gun, right?
I totally didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I really felt like it was a disappointment. But then Judge Napolitano on Fox, is like saying how it was a damaging day, for Trump. And I'm thinking...
Well, you got to understand, too, Napolitano's kind of turned his back on Trump, and he's becoming a never-Trumper.
Yes. I just don't see... I guess I just don't see how he went full, this was a bad day for Trump. It proved there was quid pro quo. Oh, I wish the follow-up question would have been, exactly how did it prove that?
I would have liked to ask him that.
Yeah, I agree. I always hate whenever these guys are on these shows, I suppose it's a script they read from, but I always hate there's no follow-up question.
Yeah. Well, there could be. They choose not to.
Well, if you and I were doing it, gee,
Well,
there would be follow-up questions.
Yeah, there sure would.
Yeah, I did not. I did not expect a quid pro quo. I mean, a smoking gun at all. I'm not surprised that we didn't get one. We are not going to get one. There will be no smoking gun in these hearings. There will be a whole bunch of BS.
Yep.
A lot of guesses, tons of hearsay, and opinions where they want to give opinions, and everything else will be, I'm just a fact witness. I'm just a fact witness.
So it's basically just going to be a public display of butthurt.
Indeed. Very well put, G.
Yeah. It's I'm sad for the country, though, because how sad is it that you're going to attempt to impeach somebody on hearsay, and just because you disagree with their policies.
No. They're going to impeach him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure they will. I want to go back in time and impeach Obama about the IRS scandal and about pallets of cash to Iran. I think those are much more serious than this.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, Libya, what they did in Ukraine, the phone call between Nuland and Pyatt should be enough to impeach him alone. But we can't impeach him retroactively, right? But those people should be... If I were Zelensky, what I would have said to Trump is, okay, I'd like for you to do the same with the Obama administration.
Yeah.
And what they did here in this country. And George Soros and what he did here in this country. That's what I would have told him if I was Zelensky, without skipping a freaking beat.
Wouldn't that have been awesome on that phone call that they released if he'd have been talking about George Soros? If Zelensky would have brought up that name?
Yeah, if Zelensky would have brought it up, it would have been awesome. I don't think so much about
Yeah, so, yeah. Man, okay, well, it'll be exciting to see what keeps happening with this. And by exciting, I mean, like you just mouth-dropping, can't believe they're still doing all this.
Right, I know. How stupid can they be, mouth-dropping? Absolutely. So, yeah, it's time for us to get out of here. I think, Jody, you want to talk about where you are?
APL mom, and I'm sorry, tonight I was in and out of cheer.
Running around with a teenager.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're here you're here frequently on Wednesdays.
Yeah, Wednesday nights, but I don't know if, you never know. Lou and I were on the couch last week. We didn't think we'd be here this week, and we were. So we'll see where we are next week.
Right, exactly. Could be us, could be somebody else. And G is on before us on Wednesdays, and at where are you on? Where else are you, G?
I am at TCC_Grouchy on Twitter, and that is all that I do is Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then on Wednesday nights, you do Toxic Masculinity.
Well, we do that once a month, the last Wednesday of every month.
It's a great show.
That's always a lot of fun. We tend to get away from the hard, serious stuff and have some fun and cut up. It's good for the soul. You should check it out and join us.
Yes.
We do toxically male stuff like open doors for people and save puppies.
Right. And they have
Wait, do you say ma'am?
I do say ma'am.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They call me ma'am a couple of times on my Baby of the Month show. I was the Rocktober Baby of the Month, and it's a fun show. We talked about football. You never know what they're going to talk about. Might be political, might not. I think Mo is this month, and I think she did free speech, right?
Is she the Baby of the Month this month?
Yeah, she is, and she did free speech. Yeah,
and,
you just never know what it's going to be about. It's a great show, so catch it once a month. It's typically
last Wednesday of the month.
Last Wednesday of the month, and I am on Cyber Wars podcast on Monday nights at 10 p.m. with Orty Stoner, all these people are in the chat room. So my crew is in the chat room. Orty, Stoner Brewing Company, and Kerosene Cowboy, Dr. Randy Arrington. I am Cyber War Podcast on Twitter. And that's all I do anymore either. I deleted all my other social media. So we're getting out of here because Brad and Rick are coming up, and it is bound to be awesome. So stick around for that, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good night.